This video will raise more questions than it answers. Here is $1,000. Universal basic income was first suggested in a book written in the 1500s by a man named Thomas More. It has been popular throughout the centuries with philosophers and most recently brought up in the mainstream media by Andrew Yang when he was running for election in 2020. The definition of UBI is as follows. All adult citizens of a society regularly receive a set amount of money. There are no conditions and there are no requirements. Ideally, it would be done nationally, but the main use cases to date have been local. The main goal of UBI is to meet a person's basic needs, giving them room to focus on other things that are not basic. Poverty is the main goal for elimination, but there are many other simple government relief programs that could be eliminated as well if there was an unconditional payment everyone could count on. In general, the consensus is that the government should be the one providing the funds. In the early 1900s, many governments started saying that they would like to start experimenting with UBI, but very few experiments were actually tried. In the 1970s, a small town in Canada tried something UBI-ish. For everyone in the town, there was a negative income tax applied, which in practice meant that if you made less than a certain amount of money, then you get a check from the government each month. There are also some places in Kenya that have been experimenting with giving cash payments to every adult in a village and watching the results. This experiment is interesting because it gives the payments out in 3 different ways. A lump sum for 2 years' worth of income, monthly installments for a promised 2 years, and monthly installments for a promised 12 years. This experiment has already been running for 7 years and has shown very promising results. The main problem with UBI is that no one really knows exactly how it's going to play out. There have been a ton of small-scale versions that have been started, but very few have been allowed to run their full term. And even the ones that have run their full term have not really met the UBI definition of unconditional payments paid out on a regular basis. The Kenya example is an outlier. Another outlier is a program that has been going on in Alaska since 1982 called the Permanent Fund Dividend. This program is universal. Any adult with Alaskan residency gets it, and it is paid out on a regular basis. However, this program is also not ideal for giving us good data on exactly how true UBI would work. The Alaskans have been getting a regular check for an average of $1,500, but it is paid out yearly instead of monthly. There is one thing that the Alaskan program has demonstrated for us very clearly. Because the permanent fund dividend is a single large system instead of one of many smaller ones, it is ripe for government controversy and liable to be switched on or off very easily. Let's go over some of the main pros and cons of universal basic income. First off, it has the potential to reduce poverty. Impoverished people who are working all the time could use the monthly payments to take time to go back to school, save money, or invest in starting small businesses instead of living paycheck to paycheck. The physical and mental health of the population could be improved as well by removing a large part of the constant fear of where the next meal or paycheck is going to come from. There can be increased job growth for people who don't have to scramble to make ends meet, and students who would have had to drop out of school to work can stay and continue their education. There would be income for previously unpaid citizens such as stay-at-home moms or caregivers of the sick or elderly. Equality could increase across the board if a large part of the population doesn't have to spend all their time fighting to get out of poverty. As you can see, there are theoretically a lot of benefits to this system. There are, however, some concerns as well. UBI has the potential to make wealth inequality worse through a number of more complicated avenues, which would allow the rich to become even richer and the poor to become slightly less poor. People who need extreme care or targeted support would have a difficult time getting the care they need, as a program like this might need to do away with other small programs in order to fund itself. On that same note, this plan would be expensive. If each American was getting $1,000 a month, that would amount up to $3.8 trillion a year. Asking where that money would come from is not unreasonable. People might lose their incentive to work if they have enough money to meet the basics. What's to stop people from just coasting on the government's dime? The biggest concern, and the main reason that UBI has probably not taken off in the States, is the fear of inflation. which is poorly understood, so let me define it. Let's take an example. A food truck selling soup and sourdough bread bowls. There are 3 different types of inflation. Demand pull. Everyone on the block wants my bread bowls, so I raise the price because I can. Cost push. The price of soup and bread ingredients just went up, so I have to raise my prices to keep my profit margins. Built in. My buddy Steve, who works for me slinging bread bowls, wants a raise. If I don't give it to him, he'll go work for that bastard selling poke bowls across the street. Awesome. How does this relate to UBI? If everyone has more cash to spend on things, then they will. It's the demand pull version of inflation. Sellers who see more bodies coming to buy their product will raise their prices, and voila, we're back to square one, where the cash being given doesn't give as much bang for the buck. As I said in the beginning of the video, you probably now have more questions than you do answers. I'm okay with that. Peace.